What's up, Internet? You're tuning in episode 119 of Nintendo Noise, Flip Screen Games' weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host, Pete and Bessie, joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Miss Sierra Plus Ultra.
Hi.
Sierra, we have a mailbag that is just chock full today. We are doing a nothing but a question block episode for the first time in a really long time. And I am super excited to get to talk about some random stuff with you today.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to just bounce around. Thanks for the questions, everybody.
Yeah, thanks so much to everybody who wrote in. Remember, if you guys want to be a part of the question block segment and write in with your thoughts, comments, or questions about anything relating to Nintendo, make sure you hit us up, just like all these fine folks did. Thanks again for heeding the call, because I threw it out to everybody and I was like, look, there's no news this week. Give us some heat. And y'all delivered. So thank you so much. We're going to start things off with a timely question from one Andrew Valentine, who wrote in and said, do Nintendo have a presence at the Game Awards? If so, what do they show? So the Game Awards are going to be happening in 3 days as of this recording. So by the time you're listening to this, they will be tomorrow, right? I mean, I guess unless you're listening to this late and then what's up? We're in the past and they already
Yeah.
happened. So I think before we answer, I want to just set the stage for you a little bit in terms of what we can expect. And then I think I want to try to suss out what's realistic, you know? Because, like, I think it's easy to be like the Nintendo Switch 2 or, like the next Mario movie trailer or something like that. But I think that's probably shooting a little too high, right? I want to try to get something that's somewhat realistic. So, taking a look at the history of their presence at the Game Awards, it's been pretty spotty in terms of like what you get from them, if anything, right? There's generally speaking, they're there, right? They didn't show up in 2021, right? Pretty much at all. Doug Bowser was there to get an award. There were a couple third-party announcements, nothing from the first party. But, for a few years before that, we had kind of had a steady stream of at least one, pretty big announcement. We had a few looks at Breath of the Wild before it came out. We had the Joker and Smash announcement back in 2018. Then we had the Sephiroth announcement in 2020. They announced Bravely Default 2 there in 2019. So you had a couple of big hitters. And then last year we got Bayonetta Origins, the Fire Emblem Engage expansion pass, and then the first full length trailer for the Mario movie. So they had a lot last year, right?
Yeah.
So then you look at this year, they are the most nominated company with 15 game awards that they're nominated for, which is pretty big. And they're already kind of talking up the event in a way that I don't feel like they have in prior years. They had a tweet where they were talking about both of the games being nominated for Game of the Year, pretty standard. But something that I couldn't find that they had done in years past. It's possible that the videos maybe just aren't up anymore. But they made a hype trailer for Tears of the Kingdom that was like, hey, it's nominated for Game of the Year. And it was kind of like a new marketing beat opportunity, but something that that being on their main YouTube channel and being like a something that they were pushing as if to me that signals a level of investment in the show that I feel
Right, like,
like
we care about this.
exactly, right? Like you don't put
Yeah.
that up if you're treating it like any other award show, right? They get nominated for dozens of awards a year. That's the one that they focused in on.
Yeah.
So with that, I feel like it's probably likely that they'll have something to show and they'll probably have something somewhat significant, but the what of it is tough for me. Like trying to figure
Yeah.
out what is actually realistic based on what is left, right? Because we know that a new console's coming next, or we think we know that a new console's coming next year. We know that there's a couple games coming out between now and then. It's like, do you maybe get another look at something like, the Peach game that's coming out, or something that we already know about? Do we maybe get DLC announcement for Tears of the Kingdom, or
I think the most likely thing is that we will get a DLC announcement. It's predictable as hell, but, with the Switch 2 not being announced yet, and I don't think they're gonna play that hand at the Game Awards.
Right? That feels like a
Like,
thing that you want on its own day.
yeah, you don't want them to own that, like, that announcement. I guess I mean, I'm thinking in terms of Nintendo. I wouldn't want Jeff Keighley to get to get that one, or maybe they don't care. Maybe
I
they
mean,
will,
I don't know,
but
like, they did reveal the Xbox Series X at the Game Awards, and, like,
that is
I guess
true.
there is something to be said for, like, "Hey, like, you're revealing this at a thing that people are already watching, and then you're
Mhm.
also gonna put it out anyway, and it'll still get the same amount of" it's like it's Nintendo's next console, right? Like, that
Yeah,
it's gonna eclipse anything else that gets announced at that event by a lot, right? And
right.
especially if, like, one of their games wins Game of the Year, I guess I could see that being, like, a cool moment, but I think you're
Yeah.
right, though. I feel like that seems too big.
Yeah, too big. So, I'm thinking DLC for First Here's the Kingdom or more Splatoon content, unless
No. Please, anything but that.
it's just such a Nintendo move. Big announcement coming, and it's just Splatoon content.
Oh my
Like,
god.
big opener, but, hilariously, in the back of my mind, I'm also like, "What if they do a big announcement? What if they do a big guy?" But it's the Orlando Super Nintendo World or Super Mario World.
Oh, that's interesting. That's
'Cause like you said,
interesting. That could be, because
yeah.
that is, I think, the type of shit like this that would make. Because, like, sorry, you sparked a thought in me, and I'm jumping in a bunch of
No,
different
let's go,
directions
let's
here.
go.
So, like, thinking about the Switch 2 thing, right? And I made the comment that if you reveal it here, it's the biggest moment at the Game Awards, and then also after that, it's still a big news story. That's basically what happened with the Mario trailer, right? Because it was like
Mhm.
a Game Awards exclusive, but it was on YouTube after that, and it got the same push that any other trailer would get. And it's not
Yeah.
like it had any thunder stolen by being viewed at a thing that a bunch of people that it's a relevant ad for are watching anyway.
Mhm.
So, like, even if Switch 2 is too big, maybe the theme park does make sense because that's not the biggest announcement, right? It's the 3rd version of it
Yeah.
at that point. So, like, maybe the idea of, like, hey, like, they do talk about it, or because I know that, like, the new Donkey Kong ride, I think, just opened in Japan, or it's, like, about
Mm.
to open. Maybe they show a video of that, and then they talk about, hey, like, even if it's not ready, they could maybe throw out a release date for the park or something, like,
Yeah.
maybe it's coming next year or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just like
Interesting.
'cause like you said earlier, like, they've announced non-game things, shared non-game content, so I think that could be a potential big announcement.
It's
We'll see.
interesting. The Bayonetta thing from last year makes me think, like, maybe we could also just get something that we don't know, like, something that,
Yeah.
like, is impossible to predict because it's just like, yeah, this is like a little side project kind of thing.
Yeah.
Something that doesn't necessarily have the same heat as, like you said, like one of the big ones, but like something that's still like, oh, cool. Like that's a release we can look forward to next year that, you know, um, got to have its moment at this event.
Right. I wanna say Metroid Prime 4, but maybe that's another one they also save for after the Switch 2
See,
announcement.
that one that makes sense to me though. And like I think you're right that like it is a big one in terms of I think you put that kind of on the same level as something like, oh, new hardware or something like that because it's like, oh, this is like a S tier title. We've been waiting for it all this time. But it's also like had a lot of the air taken out of its sails because of the fact that they announced it with the original Switch.
Yeah.
It got canceled and restarted, and now we haven't heard about it for years and years. We just had the remaster earlier this year. Maybe this is a good time to like re-reveal it because maybe you kind of understand that because that game has already been announced and then canceled and now kind of announced and everybody's kind of just sitting waiting for it, that you're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, let's do it at an event like this that's a big fan event that is gonna help generate buzz around it and get people talking about it again because it's not a new thing, but it is a new thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a good shout. Those are two really good predictions. Um,
Mm.
I like those. I think they both make a lot of sense. I think DLC is an interesting one for me because I feel like we all kind of accepted that Tears of the Kingdom wouldn't get DLC because they didn't announce it right away like they did with the Breath of the Wild stuff, but
Oh, okay.
that's also just that
Yeah.
could just be, we didn't think Mario Kart 8 would get DLC, right? Like maybe the plan is just different this time around. So
Right.
I think is another one that could make a lot of sense because it's there, it's nominated for game of the year, even if it doesn't win, it's gonna win something, and you got to imagine that, announcing, "Hey, like, oh, this was game of the year, great, DLC's coming out in a couple months." Is like, that would be really cool, That would
Right.
be a cool, like, 1-2 kinda moment. Excuse me.
Surely they will win one of the 15 nominations.
Right? Like, yeah, I think it's a lock, and
Yeah.
that could be neat, you know? We have another question here in the question block. This one comes from Andrew Valentine, who says, "I want DLC for Mario Wonder. Pitch ideas to Nintendo for what that DLC could be." That's another one I think could be interesting. Is like that game's recent, and I think I could see them maybe again. It's nominated for Game of the Year. It's probably not going to win, right? But
Yeah.
I think even if that's the case, like, you could, take advantage of the fact that people are there celebrating it and talking about it and being like, "Hey, like, you guys loved it. There's more of it coming." Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how realistic that is because obviously there's not like a track record of 2D Mario games getting DLC, but,
Yeah, I
never say
don't
never.
recall. Like yeah, exactly, never say never, though. So
Oh, I guess they did do the Luigi stuff for Super Mario Bros. U. They did the like, with the Year of Luigi, they added a bunch of levels to that game, so that's technically
ah, okay.
a precedent, I guess. So
Yeah.
I guess you get something like that. But, I guess let's answer Andrew's question here. So, like, if they were gonna do it, what's your vision for it? Because I think the easy answer is you just add another world, right? Or another 3
Yeah,
worlds or whatever, and you just
exactly.
add more levels and, you debut a couple new Wonder Seeds and let that be that.
I still haven't gotten very far in the game. Is Wario already in it?
No.
Add Wario.
Good idea. We're big Wario fans on this show.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. Yeah, no, that could be cool. You could do that. You could add, like, one world and add, um, you know, Wario, Waluigi, a couple other characters that you could make playable.
Yeah. I think that
That's
is there you go, Nintendo. I just gave we just gave you your
that's a
DLC
free
for
one.
Young Be free, for free, out of
Yeah,
the kindness of our hearts.
I don't know that it's, like, the sexiest answer, but I kinda think that's what makes sense for that. I don't have, like, a super dynamic pitch for the DLC aside
No,
from you make more levels and, like, they're hard, right? Like,
me neither, because there's already so much going on in that game. What mechanic could I invent or what cool new thing
yeah,
could I
anything that's gonna be that
conceptualize?
dynamic, they're gonna save for a sequel or something, or, like, the next 2D Mario, right? Like, they're
Yeah.
not gonna, blow it in a DLC.
Mhm.
Alright, okay. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll know soon enough, right? So hopefully we get something fun and it's something that's worth talking about next week. And we'll see. And if it's nothing, then hey, hopefully this segment was at least fun and you can think about what could have been.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're gonna keep jumping into questions. Like I said, we got a lot of them this week. So let's get into this one from Left Eye Lazy, who wrote in on the Discord and said, "I forgot to ask before the show, but have you guys played Suika Game yet?" This is an old question, so we're getting to it now, Matt. Whether yes or no, do you think we will ever see a day where a comfort game can be game of the year? I ask for Nintendo Noise because I feel like the platform is perfect for it. Yeah, we like cozy games here on Nintendo
Love.
Noise. So I think that's a good question. Um, so let's start with the first part. Have you played this Suika game? I hadn't heard of it, but it looks super cute.
No, but I see AJ going online and play it all the time, and I think he streamed it.
I,
I
I
haven't
like
played it
the
yet.
uh I like the cute little
Cute little
little
fruit.
watermelon guy.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, I haven't played it yet, I will, but I was reading about it, and it's a puzzle game. That's right up my alley.
Yeah, it looks like it's like there's like a box and you need to. It's like almost Tetrisy, I guess, where it's like there's like
Yeah.
a fruit and you gotta keep dropping it and like fill the box as you go. And I guess like how well you stack it is gonna be like, I guess how many points you get. And like the watermelon's kind of like this big centerpiece that I guess, is blocking everything else.
Mhm.
And it says you gotta like prevent them from overflowing. It looks like is the thing. Oh, okay. And if you match the same kinds of fruit, they'll disappear, and then that's how you can keep moving it. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, it's got
That's
kind of
so
a
cute.
Tetrisy vibe to it. That's interesting to me. Yeah, I haven't played that, but you put it on my map, so maybe I'll check it out because,
Hell yeah.
like you, I also like a good. I like that kind of puzzle game. I don't like the kind that Steve likes, the like weird, like like the first person, with like The Witness or stuff like what's that other game with the? It's like there's a robot and it's holding a cat or something. I can't think
I
of the
believe
name.
this description. I don't know what the
What
game
the
is.
hell is this game? I can't think of it. It's the something.
I can't wait for
Ooh.
somebody
People
to
are screaming 'cause the
post
Talos
publish
Principle. That's it, the Talos
Oh,
Principle.
I think I've heard of this, but I've never seen
Um,
it.
Google it because 'cause you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, the I think the box art for the
The
original
robot
game is
holding the
like
cat.
a robot
Aw,
holding a little animal of some kind.
that's a fucked up looking robot
A
guy.
little
Love
creepy,
that.
yeah, but I don't think he's mean or anything. I think it's okay.
Right,
Um,
he's just a fucked up guy.
but it's one of those, like, exploratory, like, experiential puzzle games, like Portal is, like, I
Oh,
guess,
this
in
is like
that
high
vein.
def.
Um,
What
yeah,
is the
I think they did a remaster of it or something like that before the sequel that just came out.
so it's
Um,
holding the cat on the box art, but then you look and it just kinda looks like Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't see the cat.
yeah, I don't know that the cat is actually in the game.
Fuck! Why would they do that?
To bring you in. I remember the box art.
Surely the cat is involved at some point. I would hate for it to be like intro it's in the beginning of the game, but not there the rest of it.
Oh, no. Let me
Oh,
see,
hate
hold on.
that.
Let me see, is there a cat in the Talos Principle? Okay. Oh, no, okay, there are cats. There are cats. I guess you meet them
Oh,
in the
thank
overworld and
God.
you can pet them.
Great.
There's a cat ending. Oh my god.
Cat
Wow, okay.
ending.
So this is a primo cat game, everybody, so
Good.
maybe go check that out. I know Steve likes it, and he wants to play he didn't get to the sequel yet, but he liked the first one a lot and, is looking forward to it, so there you go, ringing endorsement. But to answer Matt's question, do we ever see a day where a comfort game can be game of the year? I think it depends on how loose you are with the term comfort game, I guess, right? Because like I do think that there's a universe where a game that we do kind of think of as like a cozy game, quote unquote, um, is like an emotionally narrative game as well, and hits a deep enough, strikes a chord with people enough that it could win a game of the year. Um, there definitely are the odd years where like weird, sad indie games take it.
Yeah.
It happens. Journey was a game of the year, right? We had It Takes Two and like 2 years ago or whatever. So I think it's possible, but it would definitely need to be one that I think is like emotional in some way. And I think how emotional it is and how much it like tugs on your heartstrings may push it outside of that like comfort quote unquote game category. You know what I mean?
Right. Cause like, I was just looking up, like I know Animal Crossing New Horizons was nominated, and I was like, "Did that win Game of the Year?" And it didn't. So, of all the
That's
ones I would have thought would win, it would be New Horizons, but
yeah.
it didn't.
That's gotta be like the closest one has ever come,
The cozy game.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's an absolute comfort game for sure. Comforted the whole world during one of, like the darkest years of all time.
Ah, yes.
So I guess maybe with that in mind, yeah. Like, what did win that year? So it's 2020. What else was that?
Mm,
Is it Sekiro? Is that 2019?
2020,
Oh, I can't remember.
um, it was, Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, okay.
Not a
That makes
cozy
sense.
game.
The exact opposite of a comfort game, but like, damn, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I think if that game had not come out that year, a comfort game would have won game of the year, right?
Yeah,
So, I think to answer your question, maybe.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that's the best I got for you, bud. The next time Animal Crossing comes out is probably the next shot we got at a comfort game, quote unquote, winning game of the year.
Yeah, we'll
But
see if they can top New Horizons.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But we'll see if anybody can do it. It's Nintendo. So we got another one from Left Eye Lazy. Let's keep this trend going here. What is the Nintendo Switch vacation holiday game of 2024? Not to give as a gift, but to completely relax.
Hmm, I haven't
Uh,
played any relaxing games lately.
yeah, again, I think it's like, I guess, what's your definition of relaxing, right? Because like I would say the game that I would pitch for folks to play over the break on Switch is Super Mario RPG. If you haven't played it already,
Yeah,
which I think
it's
a
on my
lot of
Christmas list.
A lot of people probably haven't played it yet, right? I think it's like a great it's like a super, I think if you are at all a JRPG person, even if you've not played this game, it has like a really like fun nostalgic energy to it, and it's a super simple story, but it is like the script is pretty snappy, it's funny, and it has a lot of like good character moments, and it's light, but it's not light to the point where I think it feels like frivolous.
Right,
And I think that's like a good balance, right? And it's like not a knuckle grinding RPG, but it's also not so brain dead that you can kind of just like, futz your way through it. So I think it's a good balance. And I think a lot of folks, especially like if you're somebody, like if you're a Pokemon player, right? Like I think this is a game that you could easily slot into and be like, this makes sense to me. And I can vibe with this quickly and get into the story.
yeah, no, totally. Even if it's not, like, cozy in nature, like, the mechanics of how you play the game is, like, not too involved, like
It's familiar. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And like I think the story is like it's like a fun adventure story, which I think you kind of don't necessarily think of as being cozy, but because it's a Mario story and it's like lighter and like it's more of like a romp, it's like I think it has moments that are cozy. Like the
yeah.
towns are cozy and cute, and I think there's a lot of like fun character to
Yeah,
it.
there's a lot of adorable story beats that
Yeah,
happen, to my
yeah.
understanding.
And even just like even some of the enemies are like cute, it's like
Yeah,
I think it's a good vibe, right? That's when I could definitely see you like, I'm home for the holidays. Let me like, get my jams on, sit by the fire, play some Super Mario RPG.
yeah.
That's my recommendation. All right, let's on the holiday, vibe, right? That's around the corner here. Andrew Valentine wrote in again and said, "What's the best Nintendo related Christmas present you've ever received?"
Mm. Uh, Honestly, for me and not then this is not, a good game by, like
Ooh,
but
what is the setup
l
here?
like, it's not a good game in terms that it worked well, but Hey You Pikachu, I did get it for Christmas.
Okay. Of course.
I
Yeah.
know, weird setup, but
Look, you enjoyed it though. That's what's important, right?
yeah,
It was one of the top 100 Nintendo games of all
yeah.
time, Hey You
There's
Pikachu.
probably a lot of, Pokemon games or games in general that I got for Christmas and I don't remember.
Sure. But that
Um,
one like sticks out as being like a Christmas morning thing.
oh, yeah. And there's yeah, I wish I remembered the others. I wish I remembered any of my childhood, but alas.
You just get these flashes.
Yeah, how about you?
I think there were like two that came to mind for me. One of them I think might have even actually been a birthday present, but my birthday is 2 days after Christmas, so
It counts.
it counts, right? Um, so being the, Pokemon obsessed youth and now adult, but youth at the time that I was, and being an only child, right? I had every version of Pokemon, but I had run into a problem where I had finished all the games that I owned and I wanted to transfer my Pokemon out of the cartridges before I would restart and replay the games, right? And it had become this thing where it's like I can only do it when I'm hanging out with a friend, and then I gotta monopolize their Game Boy for a certain amount of time. And it's like, I had friends that let me do it. It wasn't impossible, but it was a hindrance, right, to my operations here as
Right.
like a burgeoning Pokemon master who was trying to complete the Gen 2 Pokedex at the time. So my aunt and uncle got me a one of the purple translucent Game Boy Colors. That was my second Game Boy. And literally, I asked for it just so I could trade Pokemon to
Oh
myself.
my god. Let's go.
Which is, these are the real OG moments. It's like that's when you knew that there was something wrong with me as a kid. But God bless them, they supported me anyway.
Yep. They saw your struggle, and they never judged or questioned. They were just like, we gotta give Pete a hand here."
Like, get this kid a second Game Boy. All right, he's trading with
Yeah.
himself. All right, okay.
But that rocks just to have 2.
It
Like,
was awesome. It was
yeah.
so awesome. And, like, it was a thing where, like, I remember, like, bragging about it. I was like, "This is so cool," right? Like, anybody wants to take advantage of my second Game Boy, just let me know. Your buddy's got your back.
Yeah. I got you on a loan. It's all good. It's all good, Dave, don't worry. You can take it take it home from
Y'all
school
wanna
for a
come
weekend.
through and make some
My
trades? Like,
boy. Yeah.
let me know what's up. So ridiculous. But yeah, that was definitely like a great one. And
Mhm.
I got my Nintendo 64 for Christmas in whatever year it was, right? I was a little bit late to the party on the N64, but I remember that was a Christmas gift.
Mhm.
And then like you, I know I got countless games. But there's only two that I really remember that are Nintendo games that I got for Christmas,
Right.
which were Pokemon Silver, because I remember I had gotten gold at launch and I had already started that run. But for some reason, like when because like I said, I got both versions every time. When I got silver, I chose when I okay, sorry, let me back up. I got gold initially and I chose Cyndaquil as my starter. And I remember after I had done that and I was like, already kind of well into my thing, I was like, man, kind of regret not picking the water starter. I feel like water Pokemon are my thing. I feel like
Right.
maybe I should have went with Totodile. But oh well, no problem, right? We'll soldier on here. And then when I got silver version and I started it with Totodile that day, I just played it all through Christmas, like while we were at my grandma's house, like off and on. And I actually caught up to where I was in my gold version. And I was like, this is my main
Wow.
version now. And I just started playing it for some
Right.
reason. Kids are
Bye.
weird. And then another game I've talked about a lot was Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland, and I remember I got that as well because I remember like seeing the commercial and being like, "This looks awesome, can't wait!" And that was like the game I was excited to start that Christmas for whatever year that was, probably
Right.
like '02 or whatever. And that was one that I remember jumping into right away and like being like, "Oh, love it, one of my all time favorites," and
Yeah.
I always associate that as being like a Christmas thing.
Mm.
All right. So the next one we got, this is from Trendy Brendy. This is another older one. Thanks for resubmitting this one, Brendy, because you're the reason that everybody, all these old questions got answered. Because I went back and saw how many we had missed from people submitting in between episodes. So, shout out to Brendy on that one. So this one has a visual element, which I'm gonna have to try to pull up for the YouTube kids. But Trendy Brendy wrote in and said, I visited the National Video Game Museum for me and my girlfriend's 1 year of dating anniversary and saw this insane monster. And then he attached a photo that he took of a device that is known as the Panasonic Q. So if you have never heard of this thing, it is a GameCube model that they had like a pretty limited number of that had a Game Boy player built into it, as well as a Panasonic DVD player. And it is like a it's a kind of a monstrosity. Um, for sure. It's like definitely like a funky looking device. But
It looks like a karaoke machine. That doesn't
oh
look
my
like a
god,
gaming
it
machine.
does look like a
It looks
karaoke
like a
machine.
2000s karaoke machine.
And it's like it's got like a little and here I'm trying to let me pull this image up for the folks here. Um but yeah, it's got like a little like screen on the top and like a bunch of buttons and everything because I guess it had all that so you didn't need a remote. I'm imagining that was like an optional accessory. Um but yeah, here now I can pull it up for people. There you go. And yeah, it's just insane. It's a weird device. And Brendy said, "Could you imagine Nintendo making hardware with another company like this today? What would they even do?" And I would definitely say no. Um, this is, I think, a bit of a relic, but it is wild to see some of this stuff, and it reminded me of some of the other kind of weird partnerships that Nintendo has made over the years, and, I think how many of them, like, ended up becoming memes or things that are just, like, straight up forgotten is probably why we don't see more stuff like this because
Yeah.
I think they learned relying on themselves was better than relying on other companies. Um but, like, a couple things that came to mind for me were, like, the partnership they had with Philips that led to, like, the notorious, Zelda CDI games, and, like, that was, like, them partnering on technology with another company. I mean, I guess that's what they've done with NVIDIA and the Switch, like, for the chips and everything that they use in it, but obviously a little bit different, than
Yeah.
something funky like this.
Oh, man. I this is the back then, we were like, "This is cutting edge technology." Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, "This is so ugly."
Oh my god, yeah, yeah, it's
It's so
bad. I mean,
nasty.
there was, like, a moment like, where we had that everything is, like, chrome and platinum because it's the
Yes.
year, like, 2000. Not a
Oh,
lot of things
yes.
look good in that color, you know?
What is, like I can't think of a single, like, Nintendo brand partnership with, like, another, like, product manufacturer that they would ever consider in this lifetime, ever.
Not at this point, because it's like, I feel like all the stuff
Smart
what do you got?
Nintendo smart fridges. That would be
I mean, I guess you could do something like that where, like, you put Nintendo games on but it's like, that'd be putting it on other hardware, which is, like, not a thing that they do, you know? It's like,
How do we put the NVIDIA chip in a smart fridge? Or processor or whatever.
you put it in a mini
Because
fridge, right? And when you're at home, it's a home console, but when you take it camping, it's a mobile device, so it's a Switch fridge.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, sick.
That one's free. Um
Remember Nintendo? We give them out for free every week.
Every week, we're out here just giving you these ideas. We're just
It's
pitching you
free.
softballs for free, Nintendo.
They don't even know.
I think the thing that I thought about, like, because the question, like, what would they even do? The thing that came to mind for me is like kind of a rehash of a thing that happened with the Vita, where like I guess you could have a situation where maybe you're like, okay, Switch 2, we want it to be even more untethered, right, to the home. So maybe you do some kind of partnership where you can get one that has like a chip in it so you can put like 5G internet on it, right? Like you did with the Vita, the original Vita. And you
Oh.
could get like a phone plan for it so you could play it wherever you wanted. And it's like that sounds insane, right? So it's like I don't know that that makes sense, but I guess you could do something like that. But aside, barring that, I don't know what benefit they would have to partner with anybody else in this kind of way because
Yeah, I know, it's
it's just like
pointless.
what would that even look like? I don't know.
Being able to call my Nintendo Twitter moots on my Switch. Some people should not have that feature.
All right, we're
Oh
gonna
my
jump into a
god.
couple more questions for the question block in just a minute here. But let me remind you that this episode of Nintendo Noise is brought to you by our Patreon producers for the month of December. They are, of course, Arnold J. Rimmer, Christopher Valens, Earth Visitor, Gabriel Hasselmeyer, aka Sobi, Snackago, Ty the Dude, and Wakahula. Thank you all so much for your support over on patreon.com/flipscreengames. You're all the realest of the real, and we greatly appreciate your support of this and all of our sister shows. If you want to go and show your support just like they did, or you just want to get involved, check out some of those sister shows right into the show, like all these folks did for the question block, or you want to come join our Discord and keep the conversation rolling between episodes, you can do all that and much more by heading over to flipscreen.games. That's our website where you can get involved however you choose to get involved. We thank you for tuning in to another episode of Nintendo Noise. All right. So here's a great one for you and me, Sierra. Mango One Up Mango writes in from the Discord and says, "What if mainline Pokemon games go back to being critically acclaimed, but the price that we have to pay is that they become it practically becomes a live service game?" I'll tell you what, I'd do it.
As long as the quality is there,
That's the thing, right?
that's
Because
it.
I don't historically, I think I can speak for both of us on this one. Historically, not a live service type gamer, right?
Right.
But the setup of this, right, is that it's a live service game. So to me, it's like, all right, if it's, or I'm sorry, that it's critically acclaimed. So if it's critically acclaimed, that means it's a good live service game. And I think the idea that they could make a Pokemon game that maybe, has a what's the word I'm looking for, or like an example I'm looking for, that has a trajectory where like you play the main game and then after that, like the post game is a live service experience where the raids and all the stuff that we've come to expect now is part of a more traditional like season pass structure where you spend money for it annually or whatever. I think that would actually potentially be a good thing because we've talked how much about the fact that the reason that Pokemon games are not better is because they're on a treadmill and they need to put them out so frequently. If
Yeah.
you did put out a game and it was like, hey, maybe we get one a generation or two a generation, and there's an annual season pass plan or like, a DLC structure like we've gotten with these last ones. But it is more like what you get with something like Far Cry, where like you buy a season pass and you get multiple bits of it over the course of the year, and there's a new one every year or something like that. I mean, that could work. It's like I think there's a version of that that's good, and you know, uh, if it's that or the same old stuff over and over and over and over again, right? Um, Now with more glitches,
Oh my god.
it's like, hey, stuff's got to evolve to stay relevant. No pun intended. So I'd be down.
I yeah, inevitably, I think they're gonna have to invent or, like, come up with ways to keep Pokemon feeling fresh beyond, "Here's a couple DLC after we launch, like, the main 2 games." So live service, I unfortunately do not think is out of the realm of possibility,
Mm-mm.
especially if they wanna compete with other, like, top performing IP in the gaming marketplace.
And it's just like, I think it depends on like what that means, right? Because I don't think like
Right.
live service means it has to be like Destiny, right? It doesn't have to be an MMO per se. They've already been flirting with like online stuff. So the idea that they could come up with some kind of, you know, post game that is like a seasonal online thing that you buy into for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
As long as the content and the quality is there, I think that's what's important.
Right.
All right. So this next one comes from Snackago, one of our Patreon producers, who said, "Now that Nintendo's making movies, should we expect some sort of cinematic universe? Will all these films eventually lead to, say, a Super Smash Brothers movie?" I'm going to say, thankfully, no. I don't think that's the direction that we're going. I think there was going to be, if that was what we were doing, I don't think the Zelda movie that was recently announced would have been live action, right?
Yeah. I would've preferred not live action if they're gonna do a Zelda movie, but they're
That's a
doing it.
whole other kettle of fish.
So, uh, I hope we don't get a Smash Bros. Movie. I'm sorry if anyone's really excited about that, but I am not. What could you do? World of Light? No. Like,
Yeah, I,
so
I
what
think
could you
it's
do? What is the narrative woven there? And then it's like, "Oh, you get to see 80 people," and it's like Ready Player One, and it's like, ugh,
yeah, I think you run the risk of it feeling like what the story of Smash is, which is action figures getting smashed together, right?
yeah,
Like, you know, uh I think when you look at the kind of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the knee jerk reaction, right, of stuff like this to be like, what if cinematic universe, right? Like it's like obviously what Marvel did was super successful. It was like dominated box offices for like 10 years, right? It's finally waning now, nearly 20 years after Iron Man, right? Um, but every other example of anyone else trying to do that has not worked for starters. So I think it's not a repeatable, or at least not a simply repeatable formula, right? And I think there's probably fatigue of that from audiences, from so many people trying to do that and it not materializing, or even getting tired of the ones that did work out, right? So it's like, is that really what we need? Probably not. And then I think on top of that, you know, to your point, I the only example we have of any of these Nintendo characters, like, meaningfully crossing over that aren't, the Mario characters that exist in the same universe, and fair enough, they can cross over as much as we want. That's cool. Um, there is no example besides Smash where that's a thing that makes sense, right? Whereas, like, with Marvel or DC or whatever, right? Like, those are characters that come from a universe where they're all in the same universe. It's not the same as being like, okay, how do we bring Samus, Mario, and Link all into the same universe and that makes sense?
Yeah, and Joker and
Right. And
Ryu.
let alone that, right? And it's like all these other characters that they don't even own, right? And it's like, what do you do with that? That's a whole other thing. So, could you do that? Sure. Like I guess you could come up with some, like Secret Wars type story where it's like, all right, there's Master Hand or some type thing, and he's plucking heroes from all these universes and he's going to make them fight. And then they all team up and beat him instead. And it's like, okay, but do we need, like, is that a thing we need? Like,
I know,
have we been waiting for what it would be like to have Mario and Link, 2 characters that don't talk, have a conversation? I
I
don't think
know.
so. You know? I think it's very unlikely that something like that is satisfying. Um, but I think you and I are probably safe from that in this regard, considering they did decide to make Zelda a live action affair.
Yeah, and I mean and then that is a whole other thing, but, I mean, hopefully they do it right.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
we'll see, right? Like, it's like, I don't know. It's not the direction I would have gone. I think an animated uh film makes so much more sense, and like
Yeah,
it would have been really cool to see them try to maybe partner with, like an anime studio and go for something that has, that kind of vibe, right? Like there was that
yeah,
viral video from a couple weeks ago. I think Wakahula shared it in our Discord where that independent artist had made the like Ghibli style trailer for like a Legend of Zelda movie, and it's like obviously that
um,
would be like a dream collaboration. That would be incredible to see them like a Ghibli Zelda. Um, so
but
it's like I think that would be really cool, but I
but
don't
life
know.
is pain.
Yeah, life is pain. That's true, and it's also like I don't know. I guess in the same breath, trying to make a Zelda movie that is gonna feel like, exactly like Zelda, I think is gonna be hard given, like, the constraints of what it is. Like, at least Mario has a voice, right? So it's like and there are examples of him talking, and it's like, he's from Brooklyn." Like, there's stuff about him you can be like, "Sure," right? But, like, I don't know, giving Link a voice feels a little weirder to me,
Yeah,
honestly, than
yeah,
like Chris Pratt doing a different voice for Mario is a little bit easier to swallow. And like, I don't know. I can't imagine how you make that land, but it's also, I don't know, like I'm sure that that was what people were saying before they made the first Superman movie in the 70s, right? Or whatever, right? Like
yeah,
it's like it doesn't work until somebody does it, right? And it's like I'm sure no shortage of filmmakers that love The Legend of Zelda,
right.
and would love to make something in that universe that's new, right? And like maybe that's the thing, but it's weird. It's definitely weird.
Yeah,
We might we'll I think we'll have time to talk about this in a minute here. and we'll talk more about the Zelda live action movie. But I do want to answer this question from Andrew Valentine first. That piggybacks off Zade's question here. Uh, what are the least appropriate Nintendo franchises to adapt to film, and what form would they take? Like, let's say an artsy, silent take on Ice Climbers.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Love that. Um, I think that's an interesting question because, like, I, I think I can come up with a pitch for almost any Nintendo character that I think makes sense. So deciding who's the worst is an interesting one.
I know, I don't wanna say any of them are the worst, but, like, imagine, like, Pikmin, but it's, like, a spaghetti western for kids.
But see, it's like that actually
Yeah.
sounds good, right? Like you say
Damn,
that, and I'm like, I could mess with that. I feel like that could
fuck.
be cool. Yeah, I think you gave him another free good idea.
Chock
Okay,
full Miyamoto, hit my
hit us up. What's up? All right, okay. I have a real answer for what the worst one to adapt is, but then I want to talk about some of the other good ones. And I don't
Yeah,
want to hear your weird spaghetti western Pikmin pitch because I think you're firing on all cylinders today, Sierra, and
let's
I
go.
want Nintendo to get their money's worth out of this one. Um I think the worst Nintendo franchise to adapt would be ARMS because ARMS is insane and I think trying to present it in any kind of, like, more grounded narrative way is just gonna be an absolute fucking fool's
Yeah,
errand, you
directed
know?
by Taika Waititi.
I mean, I'd give him a shot, you know, if he wants to do it. Let's whatever, but I don't see how you do that one. I don't see how you land the plane on that one, personally. I think that's definitely the worst one, though, right? Because 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah, okay, you were absolutely I couldn't think of one, but it was because I couldn't think of ARMS, which for me is so forgettable.
"That's fair. That's fair." I hold a little candle for it, and I know I'm the weird one there.
What if they pull,
Um
like, a Detective Pikachu with everybody 1-2 switch?
or like Wii Sports.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be Wii Sports would at least be cool.
Wii Fit, you know? I
Yeah.
don't know that I wanna see that would be an you do Wii Fit, and that could be the one that you do as the, sad drama, you
A
know?
a nuclear family living on a farm. They and they're gonna lose their land to developers, and the only way they can save save this farm is
What, open up a gym? Where are you going
Yeah,
with this?
I
You had
actually,
me with the spaghetti western Pikmin, but I your Wii Fit pitch, I think could use some work.
Yeah, actually, like, literally lost the plot. I don't know where to go from there,
I
so
was
if
like, "All right,
anybody
cool, we're on a farm. Where are we going? How does this turn into a gym?" Oh, you know what it is? It's dodgeball. That's the Wii Fit
Right.
movie. It's the gym's getting close and they gotta have a yoga tournament. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be fun. I
Wait,
like
no, they
that.
play volleyball, right?
Yeah,
That's
they
a
do other
thing.
stuff. There's other stuff,
Doesn't isn't
right?
that one of the smash moves is they spike a volleyball?
Yeah,
Volleyball
just
tournament. There
hula
you go.
hooping.
There you go. Or a hoop tournament. Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
So even that we got somewhere with,
Yeah.
right? That's awful, but you could do it. You could do it, you know? But I think of all these other goofballs and I'm like, I feel like most of these guys work. Like even like the duck hunt dog, that could be a movie. You make it into a Looney
Aw,
Tunes thing. It's like a
Marley and
Roadrunner,
Me.
Wile E. Coyote kind of vibe where like,
Yeah.
eh, Tom and Jerry, easy, easy, slam
Yeah.
dunk. And then like Animal Crossing, easy, right? Like I think a lot of these, it's just you just make something cute, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, there's a whole anime of Animal Crossing
Mhm.
already. They did that.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
I never watched it.
It's like a little movie.
All right.
It's just an easy watch. I think it's like an hour,
All
maybe
right.
less. Yeah.
I've seen clips of it, and the animation is very cute. Had a definitely like a good look to it. All right. So here's what we're gonna do for our last couple minutes here, Sierra. Because while we're on this Nintendo movie train, this live action Zelda gets announced, right? Nintendo obviously they forgot when the show comes out. They put it out on a weird week. And we didn't get to talk about it, right? There was a big game out that week. I want to say it was RPG. And we haven't gotten around to it. So now I want to take the opportunity here with you, Sierra, and we're gonna cast the live action Zelda movie because I think it's painful, right, that this is happening, but we got to accept it and we got to start wrapping our head around what this could be because we saw a world where Chris Pratt became Mario. So I think anything could happen, and
Oh,
I think we need
no.
to be prepared for that. And I think the best thing we can do as a community is to come together and try to wrap our heads around this now so we're not surprised so it doesn't catch us off guard later, you know?
Right.
So I think we've got two people wrote in about this. Andrew Valentine said there's two directions we could go here. We could recast the Mario movie actors as the Zelda characters. I think this is clever. I'm maybe down to do this in the future, but for now, I want to stay away from repeat castings.
Yes.
Okay, good. We're on the same page here. And then he said we could cast famous directors, staple actors. So you could have like Martin Scorsese and Wes Anderson in Zelda. I think this would be. I'm not enough of a movie buff
Me
to
neither.
to
Gonna
have
start
the deep
Googling.
cuts like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love these suggestions, Andrew. I'm gonna keep them in the back of my mind, but for now, I'll save that for another day. Sobi wrote in with some suggestions and said, only real casting that I'd like to see is either Idris Elba or Dave Batista as Ganondorf. Elba for the voice and Batista for having experience with full body makeup since he was Drax in the Marvel movies and for just generally being the big guy in most of his movies.
Both would be really good. Can we put both?
I think these are fun
Um,
suggestions. I got to say, I
yeah.
like them both. I really do. I think the only issue you run into maybe is they are old guys. And they're not super old, but you know, Idris Elba is how old?
Ganondorf's like an old guy, kinda.
Yeah, you're right. And I think so. Let me see. He is okay. Idris is 51, right? And Dave Batista is 54. So I know, I think how physical the role needs to be is subject to question, right? Because it's live action, sure, but it's like I don't think they're doing stunts or like crazy stuff like that, right? It's
Right.
probably going to be a lot of CGI. If you do lean into maybe like some of the Wind Waker backstory, right? Like as like maybe the origin in that, like he's kind of an old man, and like then there's like the pig Ganon. You could do something like that where it's like, hey, there's scenes where he is just like a guy, and but when he's fighting, he's more of a monster or something like
Yeah.
that. You play around with it a little bit, so I think you could make either of those work. I'm down to put both of them down, and you know maybe it's even like a twofer. One's
Yeah,
Ganon,
right?
one's Ganondorf, right? One
Yeah.
plays the pig guy, one plays the wizard guy.
Yeah,
Same guy, but you know
exactly.
what I'm saying. But I like this. I like these suggestions. I think they're good. And I think they are also, I think they're options that are somewhat realistic because given what we saw with the Mario movie, I imagine Nintendo is gonna want to mostly cast movie stars, right? Like
Yeah.
that seems to be their MO. I think hopefully I would like Link to be an unknown. I think
Yes.
that's the move. I think you want it to be like uh the way that the most recent example that we have in memory is like what they did with like Tom Holland and Spider-Man or like with like the new actors who they brought in to be the lead characters in like the new Star Wars movies or something. You want somebody that this is the breakout role that you associate them with, not
Yeah.
oh, this is the third or fourth or fifth or sixth thing I've seen this kid in because they're the kid everybody's casting right now, right?
Mhm.
I think that that's what I would like to see. I think that that's not impossible, but I think it's probably unlikely. Here's my guess for you, Sierra. I think you have one of the kids from Stranger Things play him.
For young Link or adult Link?
Adult Link. Because they're all
Adult
like
Link.
in their 20s now. That show's
Ah,
ending. Like they're all gonna be ready for new gigs. Like Finn Wolfhard as Link is something I'm like, I can see that. you know?
I could
I'm
see it. I really can't see any of them, but if it's gonna be any of them, I think it's Finn.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I
Yeah,
don't even necessarily I'm not necessarily saying that I think that that's, like, the right pick, but it's like, I could see that, you know?
yeah,
That narrative makes sense to me. He comes off that movie, he's ready for the next big project. Miyamoto wants a person he's heard of, and he's seen Stranger Things because he's a whimsical man.
yeah.
And he's like, "Great, let's get one of those kids in here."
Just not Tom Holland. I can't see it.
No, I agree. I hope that he sees it that way, right? And it's like also, I think Tom Holland's kind of like taking a little step back right now because he's been in so much lately. So it's like, hopefully, hopefully that timeline is sailed and we can kind of get somebody else in this role. You know?
Do we like Timothy Chalamet?
Ooh, that's interesting. I don't dislike that. How old is Timothy?
He is 27. I had to Google popular actors.
Ooh, that's interesting. I think he is probably I think he's a good pick because I look at him, he's a little older than I think you'd like if you're gonna have him play this character for multiple movies, but he's kind of a baby face, you know? He's one of those, like, very pretty, like, guys that has, like, a he
Yeah,
looks young even though he's 27. He could pass as, like, 24, probably 23, and, like, that's fine. Like, I think
yeah,
usually I think it's like Link kinda comes of age and it's like in Ocarina, I think it's like what? He falls asleep and he's 12 and he wakes up and he's 19 or whatever, right? So it's like,
yeah.
I think I'd kinda like to see a person who's maybe a little younger, but he can play young. So I'm into that is why don't we put them as our 2 picks?
Alright,
Alright.
sounds good.
I don't know any children
I know,
actors,
I was like, I don't know any kids.
which is tough.
I don't know any kids.
But But I think this is another one. I think maybe the only issue with Timothy is maybe is he available because he's doing Dune and
Right,
everything,
right.
right?
I guess
Uh,
ideally it's a world where they're all, like, a resounding yes.
yeah, yeah, but I could see it. You can front 2 movie franchises. Tom Holland's proved that, right?
Yeah, right?
That kid has been in like 5 Spider-Man movies in 4 years and
For
also
real.
voiced a Pixar character and was Nathan Drake, and they can make it work if he's the guy. And I like that pick. I like that pick. Okay. So Zelda. And if we get Zelda here, then we got our big 3, right? That
Alright.
like, I think every other character, play around a little bit if you want. But I think these are the core. I, I think it's interesting. I mean, again, age-wise, like, who's a good pick. I feel like she's maybe a little too hot right now, but I could definitely see oh my gosh, her name just slipped away from Midsummer.
Oh, Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I could see Florence Pugh. I think she's again, it's like maybe you want somebody a little younger, but like she's 27 too, and I think she
Yeah.
can play young. So like if we go with Timothy, I think she makes sense. I think like we've seen her play more like in Midsummer, right? Like there's that whole have you seen Midsummer?
No, I don't do horror movies.
Fair enough. It's really good, but it's
I've read the
also
plot.
fucked up. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so you read the plot. So you know the scene that's like the scene, right? Where like she's all like kinda like she's all dressed up and it's like that's kinda like the cover photo of it and she has like the like it's like a headdress or something, but it's
Yeah.
she's like done up, right? And
Yeah.
like in that film you see her kind of have this like almost regal type energy in that role, and it's like, okay, I could see that for, like, the princess side of things, but then, like, she's also been in a ton of action movies and stuff, so, like, when
Yeah.
you wanna have Zelda, like, maybe be a little bit more like she is in Breath of the Wild and, like, be more hands-on and kinda do what you did with
Ah.
Peach in that movie and maybe make her less of a damsel and more of, like, a, you know, like a co-lead, I think she could toe that line where I think she could. And again, if you do Wind Waker, that makes a ton of sense. And
Mm.
she could play Tetra and she could play Zelda, which
Oh.
I think is cool. So I that's I think that's who I would go with if we're going with, big stars, right?
Okay. My vote would be Hunter Schafer, who's known for Euphoria. She's just very, like, visually striking and, like, she looks like a Zelda to me, but that's really it. I'm not familiar with her
Oh,
work otherwise.
sure. Sure, I could see that. Yeah, totally, and I mean, that's the thing though, right? Like, I think that that's, like, kind of enough, right? Like, I think that's, like, the bar we're trying to hit is, like, somebody who has some level of name recognition
Yeah.
and, like, it has chops, and, like, yeah, that's good. Okay,
But, like,
Hunter
yeah, you
Schafer.
yeah, you made a very good arguments for Florence Pugh, though. I didn't really think of it that way before, so,
I like yeah. I think
yeah.
I like it though. I think we got some good options here. We're doing better than
Yeah.
I thought we would, Sierra. I think we're
We're gonna
doing
hit
pretty
a
good.
wall, but I've got a couple.
We're gonna hit a wall, that's for sure. All right, so for Beetle, Beetle's a fun one.
Kieran Culkin.
What? Kieran? Not even Macaulay. Kieran.
No, Kieran.
Where are you getting Kieran from?
I don't know, he's kind of a weird little freak, I
He
like
is a
him.
weird little guy.
He's a weird guy.
You
I
know
love
what?
him.
You know what? I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'm into it actually. I'm
I
into
think
it.
he's very beetle coated.
He's Beetle. I mean, it's like I'm imagining him playing Beetle a little with like a little bit of Wallace from Scott Pilgrim energy right now,
Oh
and I'm like,
my gosh, I'm gonna
that
buy
kind of
something.
works. Like that could be okay, Like
Yeah,
he'd have to be a little nicer, but like, because Beetle's a sweet boy.
yeah.
It's very funny to me that he's like 41, and we've decided that Link and Zelda are going to be like in their 20s. So it's like I
It's
don't know how
fine.
old Beetle's supposed to be, but
He's 41?
I'll tell you what though. You threw this out here. Now I'm thinking, what if Kieran Culkin is Tingle?
Okay. I mean, honestly, you can move it around.
That
I
could
don't re
that could actually that could be next level. That's I like he's got weird little guy
Oh my
energy.
god. Yeah, I gotta start Googling because, like, I forget. I'm, like, forgetting some of these.
He
Okay,
could
who's Cass?
hmm, he could be both. I don't know. He could be either. I kind of like Elijah Wood for Tingle, now that I'm
Yeah, I
thinking
like that
about it.
too. I like that too.
All right, you know what? Like, here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do, Sierra. Like any good casting agent, we know the talent we're interested in. Maybe they're not gonna be attached to the initial role that we thought about. So I think we put him. We can put Kieran for both. And how
Yeah.
about this? We put both for both, and I think
Okay.
whoever isn't one is the other.
Yeah. Sounds
Because I
good.
think they're hitting our weird little guy quotient. That's what
Yeah,
we need.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
like that for them. I like that for them. All right, is it Anne or Ian Kieran?
Ian.
Anne Kieran Culkin. Okay, really great pull there.
Thanks.
Uh, or Elijah Wood. So let's have Elijah return to the major fantasy franchise main stage here. You know.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we got Cass, who is the traveling minstrel in Breath
Oh,
of the Wild. He's the Rito who travels around and plays music.
shit.
I think.
This is the wall.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Gerudo. Sarah's yelling down and correcting me. It's Rito. Excuse me. I'm literally reading it off of his wiki page, and I said the wrong thing. Um, I think this would be a fun one to have an actual musician who is an
Yeah,
actor,
but
but
who?
who is that, right?
Who's a
Like,
buff
and
bird?
who could do that? That's interesting.
Isn't the I was gonna say something fucking
What are you gonna say? Hit
insane.
me with it. You knocked it out of the park with Kieran Culkin. What do you got for me?
Isn't The Rock a musician?
Isn't the no, not The Rock. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Sierra, I'll put The Rock in this movie, but not as Cass. That's insane. He could be a Gerudo or something, or not a Gerudo. Excuse me. Actually, no, he doesn't have the chops to do that. I take it back. I'm not even gonna throw it out there. He could be a Goron. He could be a Goron.
Okay.
I'd be down to have him be Daruk maybe. or Darunia?
No Jonas Brothers. I don't want a single
No,
Jonas Brother.
who's even
That's my
considering the Jonas Brothers in
I'm looking
2023?
I'm
You
Googling
came out
actors.
hot on that one.
I
All right,
Googled.
hold on. Who's that kid? Kid, he's my age. Who's the guy from
Everyone's a kid.
right? Yeah, I call everybody. Who's the
Same.
dude? He was in One Direction. He's a solo artist now. He's gonna be in the Marvel movies. He's an
Harry Styles?
Harry Styles. He's a musician and an actor. Maybe he could be a bird. I don't know.
But Cass is like a big bird. I'm trying to think of like a big
Somebody who's
person.
okay,
Yeah.
who's like buff.
We
I
could
don't know
put
any
a
buff musicians.
like a Buff Boys suit on Harry Styles. That could solve the
Little buff
problem.
boy suit.
Yeah, yeah. What is it called? Zoots? What are they called? What suits?
I don't think it's Zoots, but it's
Yeah, wait, I don't
teach me
know
something. Teach me, Sierra. What are they called?
Goose suits?
Goose
I'm
suits. Okay, we put a goose suit on him. All right.
Why do they call it a goose suit?
I
I don't
I
know.
I don't know.
Alright.
Hold on, hold on. All right, here's I'm gonna.
Okay, it might be unique to I think you should leave, and
That's
I
not actually what they're called.
and I don't know.
All
Muscle
right, so I
suits? I don't
googled
fucking know.
musicians who act.
I googled buff musician actors. Let's see what you get.
Oh, see,
That's how
here's the
I
thing.
saw the Jonas Brothers, and I was like, that doesn't
So
seem right to me."
Sarah just yelled down the stairs, Jack Black, and I know we've already said no Mario
Recasting, but
actors,
if we can't come up with anything else.
but he's not. But he's big, not buff. He's kind of like built, like you said. I don't know. It doesn't matter if he's built. I don't know.
I know,
Not the
right?
most important thing, or does it matter that he can you know throw down a good song?
I'm looking at the craziest listicle right now. It's just like, these 53 celebrities are secretly ripped. Chris Pratt is not a secret. Are they out of their mind, Men's Health?
Yeah,
Gerard
kinda yeah,
Butler?
that's ridiculous. Okay, alright, let me see. Will Smith, maybe
Okay.
I don't know.
I know, right? I'm struggling.
I'm struggling on
Let's just
we'll table this one for now. We'll see if we come back to cast maybe. Great Deku Tree. This one I think is easy because it's just a face. We just need a good old man.
Jason Earl Jones, right?
Ooh, I like
Mufasa.
that. I like that. I think that's good.
I can't think of any other guys with big voices that
Got a
are
great
old.
voice, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still working? Oh, Sarah said Morgan Freeman.
James Earl Jones, sorry, I got his name wrong. I
Did you?
could yeah, I
I didn't
did,
even catch
'cause
that.
Google's like, "Did you mean Jason Earls from Hannah Montana?" I was like, "No."
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think James Earl Jones, I think Morgan Freeman, I think is good too. I
Oh,
think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I could see who's another delightful old man. Patrick Stewart could be cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Any of these guys are good. Just give me a solid old man. Any of them work for me. All right, we'll
That's a
say
solid old
say
man.
yeah, I'm just gonna throw all three of these down.
Alright,
And we'll just keep rolling. All right. King of Hyrule.
alright. Got any Santa Claus looking guys in Hollywood?
I
Santa Claus looking
I did just
actors.
watch Violent Night, which is the action movie in which Santa Claus, played by what's his name? David Harbour, is basically a Die Hard situation. He was
Ah,
Santa and he had to kick some ass. He could be the king of
that
Hyrule.
works.
That could work.
Yeah, because I feel like everyone I watched growing up that played Santa Claus besides Tim Allen is dead. So,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think that works. I think that works. Unless, we could get somebody older, I guess, because he doesn't really need
yeah,
to be physical. But meh, I don't hate that, especially if we're going for like a younger actor.
yeah.
He's not super old, so that dad dynamic probably makes a little more sense. Okay. All right. Now here's an interesting one. Side on. Who can be a hot fish man?
I feel like there's So many options for this. Originally, I
This
was
is one, if
thinking
I wasn't so attached to Timothy Chalamet as Link now, I could see that. But we need somebody who's, like, sexy, but not, like, too, like, hyper masculine, you know? Because he's got kinda like a boyish charm to him, I feel like, you know?
John Boyega, maybe?
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
'Cause, like, he's not too old, not too young. Himbo energy, kind of. He's not,
Yeah.
like, explicitly, like, a himbo at all, but, like, he could be.
He could like, the idea of him playing a guy who is, like, competent, but maybe a little overconfident, you know, and, like, a little yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I fuck with that. I like that. I'm in. Let's do it. John
cool.
Boyega. I'm in. I'm not even pitching a second one. How much I like it.
Okay, cool.
Darunia, I think. Now this is one I could see. Or again, this could be Daruk, whatever Goron leader we want to go with. This is one I could see you do The Rock.
Okay,
If we are gonna cast The Rock, I
alright.
think this is a role he could do. It's probably a role, not a lot of screen time, not a ton of lines, and he could come in and just be funny and do the dance and split. I think that could maybe work.
Yeah,
Not I'm not, like, overly attached to it, but
it's just an easy slot in.
and especially if we're trying to bring some star power to this.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that we seemingly we wanna stick with names, right? No one's a bigger name than The Rock, so could work. And there's some synergy there because they eat rocks and he's The Rock.
Yeah, seems
I'm into
obvious.
it. I'm into it. I think it works. Alright, Navi. Great one. Great question. I don't know.
Kristen Schaal?
What the fuck? You are just knocking them out of the park, Sierra. That was a fantastic fucking answer. Kristen Shaw? Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
'Cause, like,
Absolutely. No question.
I
No
can't
question.
think of anybody else.
No, I love that. Kristen Shaw's Navi is great. I think that's hilarious. She is a all-time great voice actor, right?
Yeah,
And it's
good
the
at kid
role.
voices.
Yeah, yeah. It's great. Like, obviously Louise on Bob's Burgers,
Yeah,
Gravity Falls, right? Like she's good at doing like the high energy, like small child character. And I think
yeah,
that's kind of the energy you would want for Navi. And like she is a really, really good voice actor and is in enough high profile stuff that like I could see if you're gonna cast somebody that's not a movie star in a role. Navi's an easy one because it's a not, you know, it's a role that is probably not gonna be you're not gonna show the person, right? It's gonna be like a little ball of light type deal,
yeah.
and people know her voice, so I think that's probably enough. Love that answer. Love that answer.
Sweet.
Okay. All right. Last two, and this is a list that Steve made. So if there's a character that we didn't cast and you're upset about it, take it up with him. I don't know. We could throw some more on here. I'll throw at least one more out. Let's get Mifa on here. We did we did Sidon, so we can pick
Uh,
her. And then we'll look at yeah. Yeah, and then we'll do the other champions, I guess, and then we'll that'll be it. So okay. So this next one we got Impa.
I don't know any old women.
So this is an interesting one because it's also like, are we going with Breath of the Wild Impa, where she's an old lady, or in Ocarina of Time, she is like young and like buff, and she's kind of like got uh like more of like a like a jacked bodyguard type energy, you know?
Yeah,
So it's I guess it depends on which direction you want to go. Is she like is she Zelda's bodyguard, or is she, the kindly old lady character? I don't know.
right.
And then
I don't know.
like the inventor and everything, and then maybe she gets the new body like she didn't. So I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could go with that character, and I think which direction you want to go is gonna change who you pick quite a bit.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, like, I'm gonna struggle the most with this one. I really don't know.
It's tough because I feel like technically you might even want to like if you go the old lady route, you'd probably need to cast multiple people, and you'd have her be an old lady, and then you'd have her turn young
Yeah,
eventually, or I don't know. I'm gonna put a pin in this one. This one's throwing me for a
yeah.
minute. I think we'll come back to this one. Okay, Link's grandma. This we just need an old lady.
Fuck.
I'm trying to think who's a good old lady.
Helen Mirren.
I don't know if we're getting Helen Mirren for this one.
That would be hilarious. What is she doing?
I don't know.
What
I
is
don't know what
she
she's up to these days.
doing?
You know who you could get though maybe is Glenn Close.
Okay.
You know, she was in Guardians of the Galaxy, you know? I think she would be in like a big genre movie. People like Glenn Close. I like Glenn Close,
Yeah,
you know?
me too.
She's Cruella. Mars Attacks. You know, yeah. I think I like that. Who else you got? Well, Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren if Helen Mirren turns it down, we'll go to my girl.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Sounds good. Okay. All right. Mifa.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead is my vote.
Yeah. Great answer. Love that. You're fucking nailing it today. You're nailing it today.
I'm low key just like, Scott Pilgrim, but also media I consume.
Here's the thing.
No,
You're never gonna upset me by recommending somebody who was in Scott Pilgrim, right?
right.
Perfect cast, great movie. You know, what else do we need to say? I'm into that. Uh,
Cool.
so I think so. How many of the champions we got here? We already got Mifa. We said Darunia, but I think that could be Daruk as well. So it's just The Rock is going to be our Goron champion or character, whichever
Yeah.
direction we go here. Uh,
Side on.
Sidon we got. That's John Boyega. And so we need. Let me see. We had Daruk. We got Urbosa. We need to get or Urbosa, excuse me, and then Rivali. That's our last two. That's the archer, the Rito archer. So we got at least those two that we need to get here. So for okay, you know what? This helps us out, I think, because Urbosa is kind of the role that Impa is in Ocarina. So if we're using her, we'll go with the old lady for Impa. So that makes that easy, and we can make that decision too.
All right.
Okay, so Urbosa and Rivali. For Rivali, all right, this is kind of a wild one, but I think I want to go with oh my gosh, I need to look up his name because I'm struggling with it right now. It is Ben Schwartz. He's John Ralphio Saperstein on Parks and Rec. He is Sonic the Hedgehog. I think he could definitely bring the chaotic, kind of jerky energy of that character to
I
an
do love
interesting
Ben
place.
Schwartz very much,
You in?
so I'm aligned.
All right, sweet. All right. So all right. So now Urbosa. So this is again, we need a real muscle mommy type. You know, we need somebody who's
So wait, if they're gonna do this live action, are they gonna make people birds? They're gonna
oh
slap a
yeah,
beak?
yeah, they're gonna have
Oh,
to. There's gonna and it's I don't
they're
even
gonna
know what even
CGI that shit? Like, what are they
probably.
gonna
I mean, I would
do?
imagine some of the characters are gonna be full CGI. Some of them will probably be prosthetic,
Yeah.
combo stuff, like kind of like what they did with what's her name? Oh, wait, holy shit. I was about to say her name, and I think she's actually a good suggestion for this character, maybe, is Zoe Saldana. Right? She's Gamora in Guardians of the
Amazing.
Galaxy. She's
Yes.
an Avatar. Like she's like the actress for uh like action and prosthetics, right? So the
Yeah.
idea of like, and they don't need to do a lot for the Gerudo, right? Like they're just tough warrior women, so it's like
Yeah.
whatever. But if they did want to do the ears or like the pronounced nose or some of that kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
yeah, she could do that.
That rules. I love that.
All right, we'll go with her then. I like that pick. All right, last one. We got cast still, but I don't know. Jury's out on cast for me.
Yeah.
Impa is my question. Who's Impa?
I don't know any old women
And I
actors.
think we need two people. We need an old lady and we need a young lady. Young lady, I think you just pick a young actress, dye her hair white. We're set. But
Ugh. Google, stop telling me Salma Hayek is old. I'm gonna kill you. She's
how old is
not
she's like
she's
in her 50s,
51 or
right?
some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not old.
That's not old.
Hmm. What's
Dolly Parton.
oh, who's the woman I'm thinking of right now? Hold on. It's Black Panther's mom. Oh God. Gosh, what is her name? It's I can't believe I can't think of her name right now. This is killing me. Angela Bassett.
Okay.
I like Angela Bassett. But I don't know. She doesn't look old though. She's 65, but she still looks young.
I know. That's the thing about all these beautiful old women. They don't look old at
Like, do we
all.
actually? Yeah, 'cause we actually wanted to look like old, like little and shriveled up.
We would
Sure.
need to, like, dig into, like, the like, for, like, a list of character
Go deep in the
actors.
dusty. Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling on this one. I think we'll tap out here.
I would love to do that,
And
yeah.
y'all can write in and let us know about who we want for those. Um, because I think we did pretty good here otherwise. All right. I think
Yeah,
we got a solid list here.
I agree.
So we'll run it back. We didn't get anybody for young Link. Right in with your child actors, I guess. For adult Link, I think we leaned on it's gonna be Timothy Chalamet, right? We had some
Right.
other but I think we'll go with him. Uh for Zelda, well, Florence Pugh, I think was our front runner there.
Mhm.
For Ganon and Ganondorf, we were tossed up on Idris Elba or Dave Bautista. I'm happy with either of them, frankly. I think Idris Elba's got the voice though. I could see him doing the sinister laugh and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe we go with him. For Beetle or Tingle, we got Kieran Culkin and Elijah Wood. Whoever responds to whichever character, right? We'll let them decide that in tryouts. For the Great Deku Tree, we got James Earl Jones, Morgan Freeman, or Patrick Stewart. For the King of Hyrule, we got David Harbour. For Sidon, we got John Boyega. For Daruk, we've got The Rock. For Navi, we got Kristen Shaw. For Link's grandma, we got Helen Mirren or Glenn Close. For Mifa, we got Mary Elizabeth Winstead. For Abosa, we got Zoe Saldana. And then for Rivali, we have one Ben Schwartz. Uh, some of these are, I think, exceptionally like this is totally likable, or totally reasonable, and some of these are like off the wall. But
Yeah,
like,
I know.
but
That's
like,
what I
hey,
love.
Charlie Day was Luigi, right? Like sometimes you go with the off the wall
Anything is
thing.
possible,
Paul Rudd was Ant-Man. Who knows, right? You can make
right?
anybody, right?
Yeah.
You could get Ben Schwartz in the gym. Who knows? You can make it happen. So
I would be in so much trouble if Ben Schwartz got in the gym.
then for
It would
your
be
sake,
so it would be so Jover.
I hope this happens for you, you know?
Thank you so much. I would love God to shine his light on me just once.
Well, we're not stopping that one, gang. We're gonna leave it there for the day. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Nintendo Noise. Thank you so much to everybody who wrote into this week's question block. Really appreciate you guys helping support the show on and off week. And for tuning in for another episode of Nintendo Noise. Remember, if you want to write in and get your thoughts and questions right on the air for the question block, if you want to go check out our sister shows, if you want to get involved with the community on Discord or show your support on Patreon, you can find links to all that and much more on flipscreen.games. That's our website. Head over there and click on some stuff. It helps us out a lot, and it doesn't cost you a thing to do. So go over there, find some stuff, however you choose to be involved. We thank you for tuning in to another episode of Nintendo Noise. Before I take us out, Sierra, I want to give you another opportunity here to plug your band's latest single.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of course.
My band dropped a really sick new song, like, almost 3 weeks ago called Darting Eyes. Very
It's
like
sick.
yes. Yeah, if you like riffs, screaming music, all that good stuff.
If you wanna hear Sierra just hit a guttural scream,
Oh, yeah.
go for it.
Oh, yeah. All me. But, like, yeah, like, my bandmate Shred, it's a very fun song. Go check it out, Darting Eyes. It's on all major streaming platforms.
Alrighty, and we'll have a link to it. So go check it out. Go give it a click. So for the crew, I've been Pete. She's been Sierra. We'll see you next week.